Abby.
And I'm Caitlin, and today we are discussing Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco.
I have been waiting for this all year.
She's not lying. She's been trying to get me to read these books for the past year,
I'm
probably.
so excited. So excited that we're doing these. They are just like a breath of fresh air. Like they're just so different and original, and I love that.
Yeah, they really are. What would you rate this book?
So I rated it a 10.34 out of 10 because it deserves the most.
Yeah, so I would also rate this a 10 out of 10. Like what you were saying about it being super refreshing. Like I just know this series would get me out of a reading slump if I happened
Yeah.
to be one. I wasn't in one, but it's like similar to like ACOTAR, like the way it made me feel
Yes.
when I was reading it for the first time.
And I actually read these pretty much immediately I read the first one like right after I had read the ACOTAR series. And so like it felt like I was just continuing the good vibes. And like once I was done reading them, like I was in the biggest like book hangover.
Oh my gosh, I bet because they're both so good, especially the
Yes.
first time. So we'll start by talking about the characters. Our little main girl, I say little main girl because she's 18. She's
Because she
literally a
is
baby.
a fucking child.
I hate it, but we'll talk more about that. But her name's Amelia. She's crazy. I love her, but she's crazy.
But like she's wild the entire book. Like just a complete 180 like in the first, I don't know, 10 chapters. And you're
Yep.
like, who are you?
Which, to be fair, her life was flipped upside down. She literally found her murdered twin with her heart ripped out of her chest. So that's upsetting. And not to mention, she also saw a strange man standing above her sister's dead body and like
Like
tasting her
licking
blood.
blood off his fingers. Yeah.
So I do hate that for
It
her.
is a little bit of a jarring image.
Yeah, I feel like she definitely does the best with what she knows because like everyone's always lying to her.
Yeah.
However, she does make some like really stupid choices. Like when Wrath is like, don't go in after the Viper a day because it will kill you. She does, and it almost kills her.
He's like, well, you're not my boss, so that's crazy.
Yeah, like she would have died if he
It's just
didn't save her.
it's so funny though, because it's like 1 second she is just absolutely simping over scrawny ass priest boy
Antonio.
Antonio, like gross.
Yeah.
And the next minute she is fully ready to like commit murder.
Yep.
Like zero hesitation will kill someone.
100%, which she was like more of a rule follower than her sister, Victoria,
Yeah.
but I do think that she's always had it in her to like kind of do some of these crazy things because like her and Victoria, when they were 8 years old, they
Right.
like did the exact opposite of what their Nona told them and they took off their cornicellos and they like they didn't touch, but like they like had them close together and it caused this big like flash of light and they were like freaked out.
And they got their powers and
Yeah. So I think she's always had it in her to like be curious about these things, but she's just so like traumatized and scared because her grandmother, like literally since she was a baby, has been like, the demon princes of hell are after you and they're going to eat your souls.
that's so funny because that's like pretty similar to how she sounds in the audiobook.
Oh my God, spot
Just
on.
kidding.
I could be an actress.
An actress, a voice actor. Um, Something with her though, the fact that she can see what does she call
She
them?
calls
No, they're
it
not auras.
Luchikara.
Luchikari. Yeah, so she can see people's Luchikari, which are like auras. And I
Mm-hmm.
really felt like that was going to be like a bigger deal
Yeah.
than it was.
Yeah. The only thing that was like different is like Wrath's Luchikare was like a different color.
And so I guess that's how she could determine like who was one of the Malvagi and like
Yeah. It did seem like it was going to be a bigger deal than it was.
yeah, she's like, now I can see these things. I'm like, oh, cool. Like she's gonna do something neat with that. No,
Nope. She's just
not
like,
really. She can just do it.
there's a little purple glow around people. And I was like, oh, that's pretty.
Like, oh, cool. I did really like her though. Like, I really enjoyed her character. Like, she didn't really annoy me like other main female characters do sometimes.
Yeah, she was not annoying. She was honestly like
She's kind
pretty
of a badass.
relatable. Except maybe she did some
She
crazy things
she
that I
did some
probably
dumb
would
stuff
have been.
that maybe I wouldn't have.
Yeah, like I would have been maybe a little too scared to do some of the things that she did, but I love that she just went for it.
But you know who I'm like absolutely obsessed with?
Who?
Wrath.
Oh my God, same.
My king, my little cinnamon roll lover boy, like he can do it all. He's a little
First of all,
scary.
he's got that tall, dark, and handsome. He's got that down without even trying. Second of all, he's got that little soft spot for Amelia and Amelia alone. And I love that.
I think I like him so much though because he is like he's so real about his appearance. Like he like takes a lot of like extra steps in his appearance. Like he very much cares like how he looks and like
Yeah.
I feel like in a lot of like fantasy books like this, like the men are always like, "Oh yeah," and he would run his hands through his hair and like he didn't care what he wore and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "No, Wrath's my little bougie bitch."
Yeah. He's like, I'm not putting that shirt on that Amelia bought at like the street
He's like,
vendor.
"No, some pig rolled in the mud with this." Like
Yeah. He was like, why does
peasant.
it smell like assholes? He's so real for that.
I love him so much, but also like I was a little upset with him at the end of the book.
Yeah.
But like other than that, like he really built my trust with him and then shattered that.
I know. And I still don't like fully understand why he did that. I feel like if people would just be real with Amelia and just like tell her the truth,
Or just tell the freaking truth.
like she has just been lied to repeatedly. And I feel bad for that. Like she's asking people straight up, like, what's going on?
What's going
And
on?
they're lying to her face. And it literally has everything to do with her and her
Everybody's just
life.
gaslighting Amelia the entire book.
I feel so bad. But there were so many times that Wrath made us swoon. Like when he literally saves her life from the Viperidae because she's like, you said you wouldn't take care of me. And he said, I lied.
And then she passes out, and you're like, wow, that's really cute.
I know, I know. 10 out of 10. Love him.
The other, I guess he's not a main male character, but the other like male character that they kind of focused on in this book is Antonio. He's a little rat bitch. Like
Little rat boy.
he is just so annoying.
Yeah, from the get-go, he's annoying. And like part of the reason I didn't like him before I even knew he was a little piece of trash is because he has joined the Brotherhood, so he is like a man of God, and yet he's still like low-key flirting with Amelia all the time.
If Amelia was like, I want you, he'd be like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely he would, especially after he like it's revealed that his whole thing is like witch hunting. And
I was
he
shook.
honestly, he probably would have slept with Amelia and then murdered her. So he could have it both ways.
Yeah, he would have. And that's disgusting. And he's disgusting. And that's exactly how it would have gone down.
Yeah.
Did it say like how long he had known she was a witch?
I'm assuming since he knew that Vittoria was a witch.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that for long, or he didn't suspect that for long. And he might not have
Right.
even truly known it because he like said it was based on when Vittoria joked about the devil
The
and stuff, which it
devil.
turns out she was telling the truth.
She
However,
crazy for that.
however, he took that seriously, apparently. And speaking of Vittoria,
What a wild card.
really, like she was doing some wild stuff and like I love that for her, but why didn't she just like give Amelia a heads up?
Like considering they share literally everything, like and
Yeah,
I'm sure like it'll get more into it in the next books. Like I feel like her story maybe isn't done,
yeah.
but like I feel like my feelings would have been hurt. It was really giving like Bryce and Danica type things, like
Oh my God,
like
yeah.
Amelia's like, I know everything there is to know about my sister, and it's
Yep.
like, haha, no, you don't.
That's exactly what it is. And then it's like that betrayal again, like same with Bryce and Danica, like whenever you learn that about someone that you're grieving, like it's really hard to forgive them because you don't get to like hash it out with them. They're not here
Yeah.
anymore. So yeah, I feel like that's really heartbreaking for Amelia.
But like the snippets we did see of Victoria, like I really liked her a lot.
I
Like
do too.
she seemed really cool.
And I just have the
You
feeling she's
just
not really gone.
shouldn't be making deals with the devil.
I mean, unless you're into that kind of thing.
Unless you're into that, for sure.
Go for it.
Um, the shiftiest lady of them all in this book has to be Nona Maria.
Yeah.
I don't trust her.
She's a liar.
She's all she does is lie. She just simply was not sad enough about Victoria dying.
And
Like she just was not.
I feel like it's because she always knew that it was going to happen.
Yeah, like she somehow would like foresaw that. Like
Especially with like there's situations going on that are basically like prophecies being foretold, and I think she just knew that Victoria was going to be the one who died, but like yeah, she was not sad enough.
and like she's just really holding her cards close to her chest here. Like she would not tell Amelia about these prophecies. She had to do them for Claudia. I think there's a lot more going on than this. And even like up until the point where like they thought Nona was dead.
Yeah.
Like
Nope,
Nona was
she's
like, I'm
fine.
still not
You
gonna
can't
tell
get rid of
you.
me that easily.
She's like, no, you don't need to know. And you know what? If she had just been upfront, maybe Amelia wouldn't have gone with Wrath. I don't know.
Maybe.
I still would have.
I still would have too.
I still would have.
But speaking of Wrath, we met some of his brothers this book. We'll start with Greed.
He was so scary.
He's so
He's
scary.
so scary.
I got nothing but bad vibes from him, but like
He's
that's fair.
unhinged.
Yeah. And then just sends an assassin to like slit Nona's throat right in front of Amelia. That's cool.
Oh my god. And like, I don't know why. I like jumped a little bit when I read that the first time. Like
you were like,
she's
wait,
having like she's having just
what,
like
mate?
a whole conversation with Nona, and all of a sudden, like just a red line appears like over her throat. I was like, Jesus Christ, like what is that?
Not the jump scare while you're reading.
Like as if I don't have the ability to just like read forward a little bit. I was like, oh.
That is so funny. Yeah, no, he's really scary. And then we have Lust, who is not really as scary. I mean, it is a little bit because he like manipulates you.
Yeah, like I feel like it could go wrong. Well, I mean, that's part of what led Amelia to being in almost like a catatonic state.
Oh, yeah. Because like he took away all the good feelings and then she just felt empty.
For,
But
like ever.
the scene, like the actual scene of her like dancing under Lust's influence, and then like the following scenes of like her like catatonic state were actually like my favorites in the book.
They were, because it did just show like the loving side of Wrath, even though he'd
Yeah.
never admit that, but like
I know.
it was
showed
very
his soft
sweet.
side. But it was
And I
also
did
like
love like the whole scene with Les, like where she
Mhm.
was like really like showing her true feelings for him. I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Like she was straight up trying to maul Wrath, and he was like, if you still want to rip my clothes off when we get home, we can discuss it then. And I was
He's
like,
like,
that's so rational.
don't get it twisted. Like I am into this, but
Yeah. He was like, oh no. I'm totally interested. However, you are not in the right state of mind. So
yeah, we love a consensual king.
the bare minimum.
Love it. Envy. Caitlin, not a big fan. I love Envy. I don't know. He's something special. I feel like he's gonna be good.
Listen, and Tabby's read a lot more than I have, but I don't like him based on the first book. I do not like him because her first like meeting with him, he forces her to like stab herself in the chest with a knife. Not like stab, but like put the knife to her own chest.
I think he was just trying to prove a point.
He sure did. And then he like kidnaps her family and holds them captive. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that was wild. Hated that. But also, it's like he did let them go.
It was also like for no reason. I don't know what he was doing.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still a little confused about the whole, like, I know it's to, like we said, it was to get out Amelia, but
Again, just to prove a point, I guess.
that was, he was doing the most.
Maybe he was just like trying to spook Amelia in Wrath's direction.
Maybe.
He was like, listen, my brother has a crush on you. And
He's just like being a pal.
he was
He's being a
like
wingman.
wingmanning for Wrath in the most disturbing way.
Listen, I'm sure they have to like spice things up for themselves after being alive for so long. They're like,
Yeah.
this is gonna work.
He's literally just like, okay, here's what I'll do. I'll kidnap her family. And Wrath is like, no, 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 don't do that.
Like, please
like,
don't.
I'm gonna do it.
He's like, I already did. They're locked in the house.
This is head canon. This happened.
Like, all for you, big brother. Love you so much. Kisses.
And Wrath is like, no. And he just like disappears into smoke.
Yeah, they're all psychotic. Like every
Yeah.
single one of them, they are psychotic.
And I love them.
And I love that so much.
Yeah, but so like, well, we do kind of meet Pride at the end of the book, but not really. He just kind of possesses Antonio's body for a second.
He just like low key.
So we didn't really meet Pride or the other brothers yet.
Some side characters that we didn't really talk about too are Claudia and Anir. I love Claudia. I adore her. She is such a good friend. Like, she is just a true bestie. I feel like she's done really dirty, but
yeah. Oh yeah. Because like we talked about this before we started recording, but Claudia is literally Amelia and Vittoria's lifelong friend. And when Vittoria dies, Amelia doesn't speak to Claudia for like a month.
Like, and like, she's like, this is what I've been like dreading forever. It's like, why? That's your best friend.
And that's like so fucking hurtful.
And it's like, well, I'm definitely your best friend.
Yeah. I know. It's like on Snapchat, whenever you get like that, like, what emoji is it? Like whenever you are someone's best friend, but they're not your best friend back. Like, this is so old. This is like from like 2015, but do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I don't remember.
You would get like a certain emoji that was like, ooh, that's embarrassing for them.
It's like a thumbs up or something like that.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, why are you so obsessed with me?
That was, and it's like, Claudia literally went crazy to help Amelia out. And Amelia's like, oh, bummer.
Yeah, she's like, okay, well, won't be talking to you again.
She's like, thoughts and prayers. Hope you get better.
And then sends her with like the fucking priesthood. He's like, good luck, girly. Hope they don't think you're a witch.
Yeah, and that's the last we hear Claudia. At one point, she's like, wow, I hope she's doing well. It's like, she's probably not.
Yeah, she's probably actually insane.
She's probably not well.
And then we have Anir, who
love Anir.
I love him already. He's like a little comedic relief type character.
Yeah.
He is Wrath's, like, one of Wrath's servants of his court.
But I think it's secretly his best friend.
Oh, yeah. I think, like, they're a lot closer than they let on to Amelia. But he's also human, but kind of has, you know, like he has some gifts bestowed upon him by Wrath that, like, allow him to, like, I'm assuming it's like close to immortality, if not like actual immortality, because I don't think he's aged. And basically, like, whenever he goes to the underworld, I'm pretty sure
he
that
stops
he's, like,
aging.
not aging.
Yeah.
So that's the way I understand it. Which, you know, I'm sure I'll get more information on that.
Yeah. So Hell sounds lit.
Hell does sound lit.
And Nir's having a good time.
Yeah. And we get to take a little visit to Hell in book 2. So
excited to talk about that. But some stuff that we like to dislike, just some general thoughts and feelings, concerns about the book. I already talked a little bit about this, but like just how absolutely bougie Wrath is. Like, it just sparked a lot of joy for me throughout the book.
Wrath sparks joy.
He does spark joy. Like whenever Amelia, like, he like perks his finger and like is gonna like rub it into her wound, she was like, do I have to drink your blood? And he was like, what is wrong with you? Like, no, we're not doing that. Like, that's wildly unsanitary. As he like rubs his blood into her open wound.
Yeah.
Which I was like,
that's That's
I feel
also
like that's a
pretty
moot point.
unsanitary.
But also just like his impeccable sense of style and how picky he was with like his clothes and stuff. Like it cracked me up the entire time.
Literally same. Also, just like the tension in this book, they start off being enemies. And I wouldn't go so far as to call this like enemies to lovers, but like it starts off and he was like, I would not kiss you even if you were the last creature on this earth. And it's like,
I was
ooh,
like giggling, kicking my feet in the air. I was like, stop flirting.
like, oh my God, why would you say that to me right now? And then like when they finally do kiss, he like pushes her up against the wall and she's like, I've kissed boys before, but she was like, it was not passionate like this.
She's like, maybe I was doing it wrong.
Yeah, she was like shook at how like
I
much
was
she
shook.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
That was a passionate scene. Like for it being like a non like smut book, like sometimes I like that though. Like
Yeah,
whenever it's like just hold hands, just touch.
exactly. It's
And
like
then they finally do, and
the
you're like, fuck
tension.
yeah.
Like, oh my God, he rubbed his blood into her wound. I
Like,
love that.
oh wow.
Just kidding, just kidding.
It's really gross. I hated that. But also just like I like seeing the character development between the two of them, like and like the mutual trust they gain in each other. Because like whenever Amelia does like go into her little depressive episode, like Wrath makes her like the cute little witchy bath and
I
like the little
know.
ceremonial thing to like restore her energy and stuff, and like forces her to like play games with him, and he makes her food and like buys her clothes, and it's just so cute.
I know. And like assuming like I'm sure he did have some sort of general knowledge about witchcraft, like just because he's lived so long. But I'm assuming that he had to at least like look up the specifics of that little ritual. So it's like he probably
Yeah.
like read about it and like figured out all the things he needed and then made it happen.
Well, I also think he was like straight up panicking. He was like, why is this happening?
Yeah. He was like, are you good? It doesn't normally take this long.
Like I feel like that was like a desperation bath.
Yeah, and it worked. And also, like his soft spot for her, he gets her little gifts as well, like the olive branch ring, which obviously is a good symbol for them at this point in the book. And he gets her like really pretty, like bougie gowns because, again, like that's super important to him. And
His
so
love language is gift giving.
it is. And his gifts are nice.
Oh, something else I loved throughout this book is just like at the beginning of each chapter when you get like little tips and tricks from the grimoire, and it's like
Mhm.
a witch can cast this spell on this night with these things, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And
And
it's
it also is like
also
a foreshadowing thing.
I know, because it would always be like relevant to whatever's going on.
Yeah.
And so it was just like funny because it would like be at the beginning of the chapter and be like, a witch should never make a deal with with the Prince of Hell. And Amelia's like, anyway, so here's the deal.
If you swear on your life that
Let's strike a deal.
also just like her little cooking tips throughout the story too. She's like, yeah, and I think I'm gonna pair this pasta with some garlic and pesto and olive oil and all this. And I'm
I was
like,
like,
that sounds delicious.
the flavors are melting on my tongue. Okay,
So
here's some things we didn't like.
there's only two.
There's only two. Personally, I didn't love the age gap. I know Tabby doesn't either.
Yeah, not
Kind of
into
just
it.
pretended it didn't exist. Like in my mind, Amelia's 25.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's not a baby. She's
We
25.
figured that like 25 is like you can't go wrong with that.
Her
Like,
brain's fully formed at that point.
yeah.
She's an
It's
adult.
like a respectable adult age. Like 21, we've decided is like the bare minimum.
Bare minimum. And like even that's like, I don't know, Chief. That's still a little young.
So I did actually just pretend that, yeah, she was not 18.
Yeah, and I mean that's just a common thing. And these books started off as the young adult category. And so like I understand like that's the kind of the appealing to the audience type of thing. Like they're going to be 18, they're going to be young adults. Like I get that. But when you're going to have them like have a
Be
romance with an
romantically involved.
immortal, like supernatural, like let's just not make them teenagers. Let's just not do that.
Right.
I don't like that. Same with like Twilight
I
and
was just thinking that.
like why are these vampires hanging out in high school? That's
I was like,
creepy.
he was 17 when he died, but
But now
he
he's
was
a
like a
hundred.
hundred something.
And like why? Like why would they want to spend their time with literal children? It's creepy.
I wonder if like their brains stopped developing. I mean, obviously because they're dead. It's like, what if
Yeah.
they just have like a 17-year-old mindset?
I mean, I guess so, except they're all just like really fucking smart because they've like lived long enough to know everything.
Well, also 17 when he was 17 is basically like the new 30, so
So still, like 17 years old, we should just be glad he wasn't going for a 13-year-old for
yeah,
his
it's
entire
like
first
he should
period.
be married with like 12 kids by 17.
Yeah, like, ugh, okay, it could have been worse. But you know what? Like, let's just decide as a society to stop doing that.
Yeah, it's like it's okay to make him older. No one's gonna care. We'll all still relate to the 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Also, like I was just it's not even a gripe, it's not a concern. It just made me mad with Wrath's betrayal at the end. Like she built up such a great character and like I knew it was coming. Like I knew it was, but still like it hurt so bad when he was like, "Yep, sign this contract. I'm taking you to hell. Also, I'm not gonna have anything else to do with you." Haha.
Yeah, that shit hurted.
I'm like, "Damn, okay."
I just really like I felt how she was feeling.
I think I was more upset than she was.
Yeah, because she even was like, fine. Like she was mad enough to like not be hurt by it.
She's like, "Yeah, let's go." I was like, I think I'd be sobbing on the floor right now, personally.
With no one to talk to because my sister's dead. My best
She
friend is
took
literally
that
insane.
way better than I would have.
She really did. We kind of like talked about this, like the tropes in this book. It's not really enemies to lovers, but like that's the vibe for sure.
I think it's hard to do tropes sometimes too with like young adult based books. Like I feel like
Yeah. Like
tropes
like maybe they're not like as strong as they would be in like a rom-com. Like
yeah.
those are usually like heavy on the tropes. But there is also like if you guys like forced proximity,
I do love forced
that's
proximity
a good book.
personally.
Yeah, it's 10 out of 10. And then also just like for the storyline, like outside of their relationship is a bit of a chosen one type trope for Amelia. She's like fulfilling a prophecy. So all in all, like really good storyline as well. Like you
Oh,
said, super
so
original.
excited.
Like, yeah, I can't wait to read the rest of the books and discuss them on here.
Yes. We do have a couple discussion questions to go over. I'd actually like to reword my first one.
Okay.
So initially what I wanted to know is which deadly sin would you most likely be talked into sleeping with? But I think I'd rather know like which house would you align yourself with? And if you want to add in the second part, like feel free as well.
Which house would I align myself with? Okay, let me think about this because I have to think about all the sins. I do feel like I could see myself aligning with pride.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that is one of my most and I've gotten better. I've been working on some of my like stubbornness and my pride as
Mm-hmm.
as I've grown and matured, but like definitely like when I was Amelia's age, especially like when I was 18, I was a little hard-headed asshole. So I could definitely see myself aligning with that house. And like maybe I would even be most likely talked into sleeping with the Prince of Pride. I don't know. But I would say based on like the actual princes in this book as they're described, super into Wrath, obviously, but that's
Yeah.
because like the book is written in that way.
Right.
But I am intrigued by Pride and I want to know more about it.
So I think I would probably align myself with House Envy. Probably. I feel like that's one that like a lot of people probably succumb to a lot because it's
Mm-hmm.
like everyone has something you don't have.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to do. However, I think lust would probably be the one like if I had to choose one, like he's probably a good lover.
Oh my God, yeah. Literally, like probably the best out of all of them.
Yeah. So
I'm
yeah, I
blushing.
right? No, so yeah, I would align myself with envy,
Mm-hmm.
but I could and would be talked into sleeping with lust.
I feel like I could and would be talked into sleeping with all of them except for gluttony and sloth.
Okay, so here's the thing with that though, and like we'll get into it the more we read the books, but they're actually really funny.
Okay. I do love a good sense of
So,
humor.
like, you think that, and then you meet the rest of the brothers, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, because they just like the sins themselves don't sound sexy, but
yeah.
maybe the princes of those houses are good.
And we will definitely talk more about them when because they're really kind of in the third book the most.
Okay. Well, I'm excited then to learn more
Yeah.
about them. Second question. I feel like I already know what you're going to say. Would you or would you not marry the devil if it came with hella perks like immortality?
Yeah, I think I would
Yeah, you would.
because yeah, I would. Anir made it seem like it's probably not that bad down there. Like he chose to go
Mhm.
to hell. And so it's like if Anir's having a good time,
Yeah.
like I'll have a good time. And you get to be immortal. That's the shit. And
So
you
my
get like
thing is like,
special things from the house that you like align yourself with.
yeah, no, that's true. My biggest thing would be like, does my life on Earth like suck? Or is it pretty
Oh
chill?
yeah.
Because if I'm like
Amelia's kind
chill
of
and
sucks.
happy, Amelia's kind of sucks. So like, yeah, if I'm in Amelia's position, yes, 100%. But like, I'm thinking about like, okay, my life as it stands right now, like on this earth
Yeah,
is like pretty chill and comfy and I'm happy and I
for
have a bunch of people
sure.
that I love. So I'm like, no, it wouldn't be worth it to me. But like, if I
Maybe if I were
had,
an
if my
orphan.
loved ones died and then I was just like fucking thrown into the wolves like Amelia was, yeah, I would. I would do it in a heartbeat.
That's a hard choice.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
it's like, or you could live forever.
I know, but I feel like I would be like, that wouldn't persuade me personally, but I
Oh,
understand why it
really?
would persuade
I
other
think it would
people.
persuade me.
Yeah, because
Also,
like,
but it's like, here's the caveat there. Would it suck there? Like, am I going to hell sight unseen? Can I look at it first?
yeah, can you like look at it before you decide? They'd probably tell you no.
Then I don't know, because like, what if it's terrible?
Okay, well,
Because
maybe
then you just signed up for like,
whenever you're like striking the bargain, maybe you specifically throw that in. Like, I have to see it
I would
first and
love
decide
to
that I'm
visit.
choosing this. And then that's just part of your terms. So there you go.
Yeah, you're right. Can you bargain with the devil like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we make the rules here. Solid maybe.
I definitely feel like, yeah, it would be like immortality and like cool powers would be enough to like pull you.
Yeah, I
Be
could be
like, yeah.
persuaded pretty
But would
easily.
you still come visit me?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. I'll be
If I
like
was
doing
like,
my
am
little
I allowed
summoning
to
circle.
though?
Yeah, I just do my little summoning circle and I'll just like cut off a bunch of your hair before you go. So I can like,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect.
Because I'd miss you.
It's fine. Yeah, see, it's fine. There's loopholes here. Okay, so in this book, they talk a lot about like there being light witches and dark witches. And so Amelia and her family are all what they would consider light witches. So they are use a lot of like earth-based magic. And then
Mhm.
you have like Claudia's family who practice like the forbidden types of magic. So
Mhm.
which do you see yourself practicing? Like if you were a witch?
I think genuinely, if I were a witch, I would be more likely to be a light witch. But I wouldn't view dark magic as something bad or immoral like Amelia's family. I just
Mm-hmm.
think I would be more likely myself to like practice light magic. And then
Yeah.
I'd probably like, I would make some good friends who practice dark magic in case I needed like a homie. You know what I mean?
I think I'd want to know like both. Like if
Yeah.
that's an option, like because I feel like
Let's
they
say it
just
is.
like choose not to learn like dark magic. Because I wonder if like Claudia's family like only learned like forbidden magic, or if they can also do it like Amelia and her family does in addition to like the darker magic.
That's a good question. Let's say, just for the sake of this question, to make it more interesting, that you have to pick. Like you can only
Okay,
learn
okay,
one or
okay.
the other.
I feel like the darker magic is like a little more powerful, but
Yeah.
I do like the idea of the light magic because it is earth based, and so I feel like it's a lot
Mhm.
of like dealing with like herbs and dealing with like using like dirt, and they use like cemetery soil, stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
that was really cool, and I think it was very wholesome.
I know. And I feel
But
like
I
I'd
think if
be
I
more likely to do that.
think if I had to choose, like I'd want to use like the more powerful magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that would be more beneficial to you because then when the
Yeah.
devil comes along and says, "Hey, will you marry me and I'll give you immortality?" You'd be like, "Yeah."
Yeah, and I can also do this really cool trick.
But that's why I feel like your answer is what I expected. I feel like you would do dark magic and I would do light magic and then we would just be best friends.
And it would work out, yeah.
We would just live in our own little hut and people
In our
can
little
just be like,
cottage.
"Oh yeah, they do all kinds of magic up there." Just send them our way.
Oh, it'd be so cute.
Oh my God, imagine. We should write that book.
We should jot that
Sister
down.
witches, one does light magic, one does dark magic.
I love
Okay.
it.
Last question. Do you feel, based on this book alone and no like prior knowledge, like let's say you hit your head and you lose all your memories, but then you read this book. Do you think you could cook a bomb ass meal just based on this book alone?
Yeah, I think so, because it's like anytime they talked about literally a single piece of food, they're like, here are the step-by-step directions on how to cook it and all the ingredients
And I
needed
could
for
smell it.
like they weren't just like, yeah, we made pasta primavera. Like this is what we did to make the noodles from scratch, and this is the
They
ingredients I had.
literally like taught you how to make fish stock. I was like, oh
I
my
know. I was
God.
like, wow, we're really going, and that's why this book was so long. It's because it was also a cookbook.
It's a recipe book, family recipes by
And
Nona
I really
Maria.
loved it.
I was never tired of it either because sometimes in a book, if it's like describing something too long, I'll kind of skim over it. No, I read every word.
No, because she wrote it so beautifully and like so detailed that you're just like, wow, I
I
can
was like,
smell that food.
I want to eat that. Yeah, agreed. I feel like I also could make something really good based on literally just this book.
She made bread sound delicious.
I know, like everything. So when she brought that meal to the monastery, and
Yes.
it was basically just like bruschetta. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God,
Like that
yum.
sounds like the tastiest treat I've ever had.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Love this book. And we are going to, for next week's mini-sode, attempt to fan cast.
It's been so hard.
You guys don't understand. Okay. So, first of all, there's no like show or movie in the works, but we were just kind of thinking, if they ever make one, here's what we would do. So, we struggled with this fan cast more than we have ever struggled with any other. And that's saying a lot.
Because, like you guys know, we can't see faces in our heads,
Yeah.
and
We suck.
it's
We have no
really
imagination.
hard.
And also just like we'll talk more about it obviously in the mini-sode, but we spent so much time Googling very specific things that just don't feel ethical to Google.
Like, we're on a list now.
Like trying to find like specifically only Italian actresses, but only a specific age. Like it was just like really, it was rough.
It unfortunately looked like the beginning of a hate crime to find people to fan cast this episode.
So we did that for you. Join us then. That's next week.
So yeah, we'll be starting the second book in this series. It's called Kingdom of the Cursed. It gets even better. We're very excited to talk about it. But yeah, that's what we have so far for the next couple weeks.
So we'll talk to you guys next week. And as always,
let's get lit.